everyone, this is Erin, one of the environmental educators from Woolton Wildlife Preserve and Park. Woolton Wildlife is a nonprofit organization whose mission is dedicated to protecting natural systems and ecological settings while providing opportunities for environmental education and outdoor recreation. Today, we're going to be exploring the forest habitat together as a part of our virtual field trip series. Do you remember what a habitat is? A habitat is a home or a natural home where an animal finds four things. In this place, they're able to find food, water, shelter, and space that they need to survive. In the forest habitat, trees are the defining component here because they influence the conditions which characterize the area. The tree canopy up above blocks out much of the sunlight, making the forest habitat a much cooler, shadier, and damper place. These conditions are going to influence different types of plants and animals to survive here or pick this habitat as their natural home. Let's talk about trees themselves and briefly go over the different parts of a tree and their functions. To begin with, starting from the bottom, are the roots. Right now you can't see them because they're underneath the ground. These roots are responsible for soaking up the water and any nutrients in the surrounding soil in order to help this tree to grow. Just above those roots, you guessed it, you're going to have the trunk. I like to think of the trunk as kind of the highway of the tree because it's responsible for pulling up all of the nutrients and water that the roots have taken in and bringing it up the tree and then dispersing it throughout its limbs and throughout its leaves. Next up are the leaves. The leaves have a very important job. Leaves are known as the food factories of the tree because they are responsible for making food through a very basic process called photosynthesis. Can you say that word? Photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is like a recipe that the tree uses in order to make its own food. There are three ingredients: sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide from the air around us are all absorbed and mixed or synthesized together in order to make food for the tree to grow. Lastly, you have your flowers and pine cones, which are responsible for creating seeds. These seeds hopefully will disperse in the surrounding area and then allow more trees of that species to grow. Scientists separate trees into two different categories according to how they adapt to survive the winter months. Remember, an adaptation is a change made by a plant or animal that helps it better survive within its environment. So our first category of trees are trees that lose their leaves as it begins to get colder. For example, this red maple leaf is an example of a deciduous leaf. Notice the shape. Deciduous leaves are often broad, flat, and wide, which helps them capture more sunlight while they're on the tree. Now, when it begins to get colder, these leaves decide to stop that photosynthetic process because as autumn comes along and then winter, there's less of that third ingredient, that sunlight, to make food for themselves. So these leaves will send back all the water and nutrients that they have stored within them to be stored in the trunk, in the base of the tree. That's when you start to see them lose their green color and then to turn red, orange, and yellow. Once this tree has completely done its job, it's going to fall off and the tree will essentially go dormant or go to sleep for the winter, and then it'll wake up again when temperatures warm up in the spring. It'll begin to grow more leaves and start to make food for itself once more. The second category of trees that have adapted to survive the winter months are known as conifers. We also call them evergreens because they stay green basically all year long. Some examples of conifers are the white pine tree, pitch pine trees, and even hemlocks. As you can tell, the shape of these leaves are very different from the deciduous leaves that I just showed you. Rather than being broad and wide and flat, these leaves are known as needles because of their shape, and they actually have a very special adaptation which allows them to stay on the tree all year long. There's a special antifreeze-like solution that runs within these needles that prevent them from freezing even during the harsh, cold winter months. This allows the needles to stay on the tree, and although there is less sunlight during these months, these leaves are able to continue that photosynthetic process and keep making small amounts of food for the tree throughout the year. Now I'd like to walk you through a fun leaf rubbing activity that you can do at home. By now, you've already received this worksheet. It's our leaf rubbing activity worksheet, and you can see that there's two boxes here. The top box is for deciduous leaves. Remember, deciduous leaves are the ones that fall off the tree each year. And the bottom box is for our coniferous leaves, or our evergreens. Those are the ones that their leaves stay on the tree all year round. After you have your worksheet or any paper, you can do this with any blank piece of paper that you have within reach. Next, you're gonna wanna find both a deciduous leaf and a coniferous leaf. Make sure to find these leaves already on the ground. We do not want to pick them off a tree because we do not want to cause damage to that tree. So I was lucky to find a red maple leaf right here. And as you remember, red maples are deciduous. So what I'll do is put this red maple leaf right underneath my paper, like so. And then you're gonna need a crayon. Now note how I'm holding my crayon. I'm holding it in a very special way. This position is gonna help your leaf rubbing come out much, much better. So please be sure to hold your crayon like so. Then you'll take your crayon and right over that leaf on your paper, begin to rub. Just like magic, you're gonna see your leaf begin to appear. I picked red because it's a red maple leaf. Now that I've got my deciduous category done, you're gonna wanna find a conifer. Lucky for me, there were some white pines on the ground, so I picked those up. I'll do the same thing that I did for the top. I'm gonna put these underneath my paper, like so. And then I'll use, let's try a different color, green. And just by applying some pressure, I'm gonna begin to rub. And you'll see that those pine needles kind of fanned out and came out pretty perfectly on my sheet. Now you try.
Not only do the trees support themselves within the forest habitat, but many species of animals also depend on these trees to survive. For example, squirrels and chipmunks eat acorns along with other nuts, fruits, and vegetation, all which come from the surrounding trees. You can also hear woodpeckers at work throughout the day here at the preserve and park. Woodpeckers eat bugs and insects that have found their way into the bark and trunks of the trees. They will also utilize hollow trees for nesting. Much larger animals find what they need in the forest habitat as well. Red foxes, coyotes, and bobcats hunt for smaller animals that can be found hiding within the forest, and they'll even eat porcupines if they don't climb up the tree fast enough.
Thanks for watching our forest segment of our virtual field trip series. I hope you had fun and learned a little something too. See you in the next habitat.